Yeah, well, the first thing I make of it is that her voice drips with the same falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with.
Crazy. I'm crazy. I'm crazy.
This is a test.
Oh, yeah.
This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak.
This
Turn it up
is a
a
test.
third degree.
This is only a test.
So Piers Morgan interviewed none other than famed Canadian psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson. Dr. Jordan Peterson gained quite the following after vehemently opposing compelled speech legislated by the government and also reminding men that it's okay to stand on your principles against the participation trophy, cancel culture, emotional policing, social justice Gestapo. However, there's no tolerance in this climate for a man who speaks a message of positivity and empowerment to other men unless that message has been rid of any semblance of testosterone-derived toxicity and given a dose of candy-coated estrogen so that all men are created wimpy.
How you doing, Wendy? How you doing?
So Dr. Jordan Peterson has the tendency to attract quite the seemingly sizable opposition of heretics that perhaps feel threatened that the popularity of his message will ultimately wake a sleeping giant. Well, none other than Pied Piper of Princess Meghan Markle pulled up to the scene of her new podcast entitled Kiss Your Monarchy Goodbye.
Stop lying.
Meghan Markle, Prince Harry's wife, who does this podcast, Archewell podcast, or Archetypes it's called, in which she seems to perennially play the victim, the female victim of all outrages. And your name got dragged into this. Let's take a listen to what she said.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational?
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
The use of these labels has been drilled into us from movies and TV, from friends and family, and even from random strangers. And the fact is, no one wants this label.
What did you make of that, Jordan, to be suddenly appearing on Meghan Markle's podcast as a villain?
The first thing I make
calling
of
women crazy
is that she... Yeah, well, the first thing I make of it is that her voice drips with the same falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with. It's this sanctimonious, faux compassionate, talking down to her audience and trying to be sure that we're all really on the same compassionate page here, and we're all being victimized by terrible forces that are arrayed against us, and none of that's really fair. And it just grates on me, and I do believe that it is the case that it's very difficult to control female antisocial behavior, often of the type that's been pilloried as hysterical. And I think that there's no shortage of clinical evidence to support precisely that claim. It's very difficult for women to control female antisocial behavior, and females who are antisocial, that feminine pattern is reputation savaging under the guise of compassionate care.
The good doctor is using too many words to explain a simple situation. Now, why is he doing that, you ask? Because he's a professional and has a vested interest in being precise with his speech. So, in other words, whatever he's saying is the edited version of what he's actually thinking. But I, on the other hand, have absolutely nothing to lose, but I'll still try to be civil in my approach as I destroy her sanctimonious soliloquy with a heavy dose of good old-fashioned verbal kicking that any layman can understand. Although there is a tendency to throw everything under the crazy label, we'll first have to set the stage and separate the variants of crazy into crazy and psycho. And what I believe that the doctor is highlighting specifically is when cray-cray turns psycho. So let's hear that question again.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy.
Now at this moment, every woman should be raising her hand because every woman is crazy, but not every woman is a psycho. There is a difference. Ask any woman if they think that they're crazy, and a lot of them might say no if they don't get offended first, but then ask her what she would do if she found out that her children were being endangered, and most women would admit that they're crazy under those circumstances. So when a man labels a woman as crazy, it is usually when she exhibits rational irrationality, and psycho is when you exhibit irrational irrationality. Here's the difference. You see how this woman goes after the bear to save her annoying little dogs? Well, this would be an example of crazy, but we can understand why she's doing what she's doing. And had it not been for the dogs being endangered, she probably would have avoided the situation. But what about this situation where a woman is intentionally assaulting a grizzly bear in the form of a man?
Just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
I bet you aren't. Do you recall all of that national press and attention that was placed on male behavior regarding toxicity, as in toxic masculinity?
Just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
I bet you aren't. Although the doctor was quite articulate and specific with his words, and I never presume to know what he's thinking, but if I had to guess what he was thinking at the moment, it would probably be,
Shut up, bitch!